Hi, I'm Danny, and today we're looking at the Visuo drone. This is gonna be cool. Roll the intro. In the box, we've got, of course, the foldable drone. This is a Wi-Fi FPV camera drone with a 2 megapixel camera. The wings fold up, as you can see. We also have a controller that's fully labeled. This is really nice. You don't always see this on these cheap camera drones. In the box, you also get your charging cable. You get 4 prop guards, 4 spare propellers. This drone also comes with a proprietary battery that you can see slides out. You can pick these up pretty cheap online. It's a little bit of a pain that they're proprietary. They do have a micro USB cable, but I've seen people have problems when they use standard micro USB cables. You need to use the one that comes with the unit because it stops charging with a little chip that's built into the cable. 3 AA batteries. So this one actually comes with a surprisingly good manual. It's in English. Sometimes when you get these manuals, the translations are a bit sketchy, but this is pretty impressive. It's got a diagram of the controller, what buttons does what, and it's also got a lot of details in the book on how to operate the drone. So this is really nice.
So now we're going to do our usual video tests. This is just the drone sitting on a table and me walking into shot just to see the frame rate and the quality of the video. There is also 2 pictures coming up so you can get an idea of the picture quality. We will then be switching over to micro SD, footage from the micro SD, and seeing how that turns out. So there are those 2 photos. And we now have footage from the micro SD. I think it looks slightly better, but it's not a massive improvement. It looks a little bit less grainy, a little bit less blurry, but it's not a massive difference. This is still a nice feature to have anyway. So 2 more pictures from the micro SD. So now we're going to take a look at some flight footage. First off is on Wi-Fi FPV. There'll be some more flight footage coming up on micro SD. So you'll see there's just a little icon in the top left I've put so you can see what we've pulled the footage from. So I'm going to let this play through. I often feel in these videos we don't get to see enough footage of the actual drone. The camera is quite an important part. The parts in the video where you see jumping is where I've changed clip. There was very little skipping in the video. I was very impressed with the video quality and the signal. I didn't do any long range tests. The drone is capable of 100 meters in the specs. I've seen people get further than this. You can also do some antenna mods to get increased range, which is nice. But overall I was really impressed with the video quality, signal, no real issues there. In this specific clip you're seeing at the moment, it was very windy. The drone seemed to handle well. It has 3 different rates. I was on highest rates here to handle the wind, but it performed very nicely. We'll just let this clip play through and then we'll look at some external flight footage and on to final thoughts. So now we're going to do some tests on the takeoff and landing feature. This is automatic takeoff. You see it works pretty well. And we're also going to look at automatic landing. You can see that also works fairly well. Sometimes it does bounce a little bit before it shuts off fully. Sometimes it doesn't, but on my testing it seems to work really well. I also do a manual landing, which again works well. Sometimes on altitude hold FPV drones, once they get close to the ground they kind of ignore your input to go down and push up again, which is slightly annoying, but this didn't seem to have that problem, so that was great. and then we will move on to some flight footage. You can actually see the drone flying around. As I said earlier, it works very well. It's very stable. Even in fairly high wind, it's quite easy to control. If you're on high rates, if you're on low rates, then it can be very, very difficult. But simply putting on high rates gives you more control, more speed. You can also turn more sharply, so it handles wind fairly well. So I'll let these clips run through, and then we will move on to our final conclusion.
Wow, what can I say? This drone is amazing. For the price, I paid £41.85 for this. Free shipping from Banggood. This is a great deal. I mean, look at this. Look how cool this is. Red eyes. Crazy red eyes. My initial impressions of this, all the features work really good. The takeoff, the landing, stopping, starting the motors. What's really interesting about this drone is you can record to an SD card if you insert an SD card. Around the back right here, just here, but you can also record straight to your phone. If you have an SD card in the drone, it will record to the SD card. If you don't, it will record to your phone. This is a really cool feature. Recording straight to the SD card gives you slightly better quality. On the specs for this drone, they say you get 10 minutes flight time. I got around 10 minutes, maybe 9 minutes, but I think that's good for a drone of this size, especially the price point. That's a good time. The advertised range is about 100 meters. That's roughly what I was getting, but I didn't do any specific range tests. I wouldn't really take it much further than that anyway. A drone of this size will get taken away by the wind quite easily. This drone in particular, it doesn't have very high flight speeds, even on the highest rates. It does struggle a little bit in wind, but it's still fairly good. In my testing, it was very windy, and I was able to control it. But any drone of this size and this sort of price point, it is going to struggle in the wind. So that's not something you should expect, to be able to take this out on a really windy day, take it up 100 meters and just fly it around. You can do that, but it is quite difficult to control. The altitude hold worked well. It was pretty steady. When it wasn't windy, it held its place very good. The lights underneath are nice and bright. They're really good. Even in daylight, you can clearly see these. It might not be picking it up that good in the video, but these are great. I also got a really good LBC warning, which is when the lights flash and you have low battery. And even when the battery died, the drone still descended slowly. It didn't just fall out of the sky. You also have these little rubber pads on the feet of the drone, which is a nice touch. If you come down slightly hard, this does absorb some of the impact. It's not going to do a great deal if you fall from a really high height, but in normal landings, this is really helpful. I would definitely say pick this up if you want a Wi-Fi FPV drone, especially if you want a foldable drone. I really like that there's no buttons to press on these arms. They literally just fold in. They feel quite sturdy. They don't feel like they're going to break easily. They lock into place nicely. So one issue I did have with the drone, which is a bit of a bummer, is I'm using the app on a Android, a Galaxy S7 Edge, and it was frequently crashing, which was pretty annoying. Other than that, I don't really have any major complaints with the drone. The phone holder, the controller is a little bit flimsy, but it does the job. That would be my only other real complaint. Again, I love the fact that everything's labeled, really helpful. So let me know if you had any problems with the app on your phone. Leave a comment. This drone, I'm really impressed. I would say if you want a foldable FPV Wi-Fi drone, you should pick this up. This is really good. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Please leave a comment. Thumbs up the video if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Don't forget to subscribe. You can click on the button in the bottom right of the video.